Black Candles is the film is loaded with sleazy love and satanism. Still, it's not as memorable as Larraz's erotic masterpiece Vampires. The lighting is poor and the acting is amateurish. The love scene between a black goat and a woman has to be seen to be believed. There is also an incredibly nasty moment which has a man killed by having a sword sawed. A softcore film masquerading as a horror movie. Black Candle sees Spanish director Jose Ramon Larraz, the man responsible for cult erotic, as the guy happily love away. Someone uses a voodoo doll to give him a fatal coronary. On hearing of her brother's sudden death, Carol traveled to England with her husband Robert to stay with her sister-in-law Fiona while the estate is settled. What Carol doesn't know is that Fiona is part of a devil worshipping cult that wants her to become a bride to Satan. Although obviously inspired by Rosemary's Baby, Black Candle has none of that film suspense or atmosphere. It's simply one sleazy love scene after another. After all, this rampant humping plus a memorably nasty scene in which the farmer gets a sword rammed up his jacksie. The film wrap up matters with a disappointing cop-out ending which reveals that everything we have seen has been a dream, but one that may be a portent of things to come. Sweet Carol and her amorous husband Robert travel to England after Carol's brother Paul dies suddenly. They discover an evil satanic cult that's led by Carol's wicked and alluring sister-in-law Fiona. Robert gets drawn into the coven. Writer-director Jose Ramon Larraz, who previously gave us the intensely erotic classic Vampires, delivers a tremendously tasty and trashy cinematic brew of raunchy romance and twisted perversity. The spooky, ooga booga throbbing rock score by Cam and Fan Marin Roth, grainy cinematography further enhanced the deliciously lurid movie's nastiest scene. A pathetic fat guy has a sword sewed into his body. Raw and rebelled, this racy number sizes up at brother's wife Fiona regarding his will. What she soon discovers is that her brother could very well have been a victim of witchcraft and that Fiona could belong to a satanic cult. When John falls prey to Fiona's seduction, eventually joining the cult of his own free will Carol be able to escape? Notorious for its display of a satanic cult, sordid activities, yours Ramon Larraz Black Candle seems to be about an innocent potential danger as she pursues the real truth about her rather athletic and active brother's heart attack. You get plenty of soft core love as the three leads often engage in spirited act of love making. A member of the cult willingly copulate with a god as Carmen Carrion and her stable hand ground keep a husband and lover watch. The film also features a sinister reverend who served as the leader of this clan of devil worshippers. The film isn't really complex with any depth involving Satanism, just the exploitative nature of a clan of wealthy British aristocrats enjoying all the debauchery that their religion provide. Rosemary's Baby is an obvious inspiration side of that premise. The practice of Satan worship by normal looking people, hiding their religion from the outside world. Beside the infamous God love is an unfortunate victim's body stabbing by a sword. We realize that this coven will resort to whatever measures are necessary to keep their secret worship just that. The film is essentially softcore film with the devil worship an excuse to display deviant behavior. Hidalgo fulfills the Mia Farrow role here, spending a vast amount of time either naked or in her undergarment. Very little time is Hidalgo wearing a wardrobe of any kind. The real star here is Helga, embracing her role with relish, easily one of her best performances, displaying a middle-aged seductress who peeps on Carol and Robert having love, moves in on her sister-in-law's man, and convert new member to Lucifer's flock because of this overwhelming power she has at her disposal. Black Candle is a rather amusing Spanish exploitation horror film starring the incomparable Helga. Co-star Vanessa Hidalgo plays Carol, who travels to England after the sudden death of her brother. She and her boyfriend Robert, played by Jeffrey Haley, find that her sister-in-law Fiona, not surprisingly, is part of a cult that practices devil worship. Carol isn't a particularly interesting character, so it's hard to care that much about what happens to her. But you do feel somewhat bad for her, given how easily Robert Pablo is corrupted. Still, there are some entertainingly twisted characters on hand, including a reverend and a doctor. Age 50 or so. Director Josh Ramon Larraz does manage to tell something resembling a story, in which it remains to be seen if Carol will get out while the getting is good. Trash fanatic need not worry. However, there is still plenty of nudity and softcore love to keep them interested. What helps to sell black candles are two key scenes, one involving a goat and one involving a sword. Viewers have to wait until almost the end of the movie for the sword scene, but Black Candles only runs approximately 83 minutes, so they don't have to stick it out for that long. Overall, this is nowhere near as thickly atmospheric as vampires, but horror fans who love their genre films to be on the sleazy side should be pretty satisfied. Spanish horror film has a sister and her boyfriend going to a rural castle in Spain to search for her brother. What she doesn't know is that her brother got involved in a love craze satanic cult and they have got their eyes on her now. This film is best known for all its softcore love scenes. The love scenes are trying to be erotic, but they oftentimes create some unintentional laugh, and these include a scene where a woman is raped by a goat. Nothing graphic is shown, but this is just one example of this film being watered down compared to other movies that were out there in this era, including several by Jody Amato, which didn't stop at softcore scenes. The horror element, clearly inspired by Rosemary's Baby, are also very lame and don't contain enough suspense, gore, or violence to keep things moving. The pacing of the film is the biggest problem because you'd expect 80 minutes to fly by in an exploitation film. But that's not the case, as each scene just drags on and on. Thus, Black Candle is basically just a variation on the same sort of plot that worked a lot better in the earlier Spanish horror film Satan's Blood, as well as a whole lot of other films. It starts out interestingly, as we are introduced to the central characters, and we start to get an idea of where the plot is going. There seems to be a correlation between devil worshipping in Europe and having lots of love, and that's something that director Josh Ramon Larraz seems keen to capitalize on, as the actors spend a good half of the film without any cloth on. The plot is, of course, very simple and start off with a man dying suddenly while having love after a woman stick a pin in a voodoo doll, the dead man's husband, her sister-in-law, and it transpires that she's into devil worship. Everything about this film is completely amateurish. The acting is terrible, sometimes even cringe worthy, which is quite shocking. The scene setting is frankly lazy, and Larraz makes practically no attempt to build an oppressive atmosphere or lift the film out of the pit in any way.